Secrets Exposed. Good day, good morning, and good afternoon to you all. We're here to share intimate conversations with you today with today's thought leaders, change makers, and disruptors. We like to bring you tools, techniques, and strategies and insightful perspectives on both personal and business growth, revealing the humanness of both success and challenge. For those that are new to the show, my name's Sally A. Curtis. I'm a content repurposing whiz. We work with brilliant individuals to help them leverage their content to engage their audience through the power of visual bite-sized content. We've become best known for turning books into 2 years' worth of social media posts. We provide a done-for-you service that amplifies your impact because you stand out, you deeply connect with your audience, and your message is heard and you connect more easily. Today, we're going to be talking about turning doubt into action to create the success that you want. And I have a very, very special guest. Lynn Tranchell is a seasoned success coach with a remarkable track record of guiding leaders towards their goals for over 3 decades. Lynn empowers entrepreneurs to achieve remarkable success with less effort and greater financial rewards. She has a deep understanding of human psychology, a passion for brain science, and Lynn leverages both psychology and computer science to create cutting-edge strategies with and for her clients. So please help me welcome to the show, Lynn. Hello, Lynn.
Hello, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us. I'm excited about our conversation because I like to geek out on new technologies and computer stuff. I'm not necessarily super good at it, but I'm certainly an early adopter, and I love very much that people watching and that people perspective. So I'm excited to share your insights across the two, psychology and computer science, and what that means for us all as it relates to turning doubt into action. So thank you for joining us. Can you share a little bit with us about your backstory of what your journey has accumulated to get you to where and what you're doing now as a coach in the expert field that you're in?
Yeah, well, I have my bachelor's in psychology, and then I tried to get a job in psychology, and you really have to go on for at least a master's and PhD, and I really didn't want to do therapy. Yeah. I really loved the interactions of how people think and how people act, and I didn't really see a way to do that in the moment with staying where I was in psychology. So I got a master's in computer science, and my master's project is in artificial intelligence. And also my favorite class as an undergraduate was physiological psychology. So it all has to do with brain science. And I love the fact that science is finally catching up to what the mystics have been saying for centuries and centuries, and all of this neuroplasticity and mirror neurons and everything is becoming common. And it's kind of like the woo-woo isn't woo-woo anymore. It's commonplace. Yeah. And it's scientifically proven.
Yeah, so you must be absolutely in your element now, that it's all timed perfectly, that we're in this, I'll call it a bit of a perfect storm, especially now with the onset of all of the different AI technologies that are coming out, and people, how they're either adapting to them or not. So I'd love to hear how you've utilised that learning as it relates to understanding and working with people get out of their stuff and conquer this doubt. So share a little bit more about what you see often with the work that you do.
Yeah, well, if we go back to before the age of 7, if we look at our mind has 2 parts: our conscious mind and our subconscious mind. And our conscious mind is the thinking mind. It's the one that accepts and rejects. Our subconscious is the emotional mind. It can't accept, it can't reject, it just takes everything that is turned over to it. And before the age of 7, our conscious mind didn't exist. So think about that. Everything you saw, everything you heard went into your subconscious without a filter, and it stayed there. That's
Yeah.
why we say we inherit our parents' beliefs and their parents' beliefs and their parents' beliefs, because everything just went in there. And there are times when you say or do something and you have no idea where it came from.
Yes.
And it's just like, what was that? But it is all of that. And it can still, even now, it for most people, it still runs our life on a daily basis. And I'm saying our because I'm in that category too.
Mm.
And just about everybody is in that category. And it does create that doubt when we go to do something new. Our subconscious, actually, our amygdala its sole purpose is to keep us safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that kicks in and doubt steps in and we question and may or may not take action, and all kinds of things can happen
Yeah.
or not happen.
Or not happen. You've just reminded me of a conversation I had with my sister in the car, and we were chattering away, and I just went, "Oh, it's blah 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 blah," and I went, "Oh, that was Mum." How we've just, as you said, something's gone in, and I've just reverberated. We both looked at each other because we both realised they were Mum's words,
Yeah.
and it's a great way that you've explained it as to how much goes, how much and how everything is going in into the brain at such a young age. And I think for a lot of people with the with social media and all those sorts of things, we don't often realize, and I think we get stuck into the habit of, there's a habit, we'll come back to that, of comparing what we think is going on for other people. But it was great how you talked about us, and that it occurs for all of us, that doubt creeps in all the time for all of us, but it's how we go about what we do next. So can you share a little bit more about that as it relates to what you do and the strategies that you have?
Yeah, actually, I just started looking in. Well, I guess I've been doing doubt for a while, but I saw an interview with Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
I guess she has a new book out that has to do with doubt. And she stated that every single morning she has to deal with that doubt. And I was thinking, if somebody who was the first lady for 8 years has to deal with doubt, and then you see the other people, Oprah, Matthew McConaughey, everybody talks about how that doubt creeps in. And when that doubt creeps in, we have a choice. The first thing we have to do is we have to notice that it's happening. And then when we notice it, we have a choice of whether to just keep going or whether to actually do something different about it. And it's when we make that choice to do something different, then we can change that subconscious programming. And that changing the subconscious programming actually changes our brain. That's where the neuroplasticity comes in. They say the thoughts that fire together wire together. So you can rewire those thoughts and those doubts and then have a different reaction to things in the future.
Yeah, and that, as you've talked about with that rewiring, that rewiring occurs when we have the ability to actually notice that something's creeped in, and that awareness. And how does somebody discover or actually, I suppose, build that noticing muscle so they can start to do the rewiring?
One way you can do it is to just look at your results. If your results aren't what you want, then the beginning is a thought. So we have thoughts, feelings, actions, results. Look at your result. If you don't like that result, see how you can change your thought. Then you have a new thought, you have new feelings, new actions, new results. Are these new results what I want? If yes, great, keep going. If not, how can I change that thought a little bit more? So it just turns into this cycle of just look at your results. How can I change my thoughts? And it goes back into the cycle again.
And that, when you explain it that way so beautifully, it is those incremental tweaks versus the great big leap over the chasm.
Exactly. In fact, they say that you can get all the way to the top of Mount Everest with baby steps.
Yes.
You don't have to take the big steps. You take a little step, you notice what's going on, you take another step and you notice what's going on.
Which is why awareness and what's occurring, and having that awareness and strengthening almost that awareness muscle is critical to actually start to have the peak transformation and the changes that people are looking for. What are the most common things that you work with clients as it relates to helping them transform their lives and their businesses from the place that you start with them? What's most common? What's going on for most of them generally?
Well, most of them, I work mostly with entrepreneurs, and they're just not getting the results that they want. They are working a lot of hours and not seeing the income to go along with it. And it's those thought habits that keep them stuck in that place of, they think if I just work a little bit harder, then I can accomplish more. I can get there. I can be a success by just working harder. And when in reality, it's just noticing those thoughts and changing those thoughts so that they coincide with where you want to be going. And to other people, it might even look like magic once you start doing it, because things change and other people don't know the work that you're going through to do it. So by making those little changes, you can accomplish more and get better results with much less effort, because that bumping up against doubt and bumping up against all of those thoughts and all of those whatever is going on really is draining, and it keeps your energy low, and it makes it difficult for you to want to do something else. So by being able to do that, you can it's easier. It gets easier and easier to do it, and you don't bump up against that roadblock, so to speak, and have to climb over something instead of just keep going
around it. And isn't that an interesting phrase that you've actually said there, is that working harder? How many of us, and I've definitely done that from a repeating perspective, and I hear that word come up, oh no, that's all right, I'll just work a bit harder this week, I'll just do a little bit more, I'll just add a little bit more, I'll just add a little bit more. So how do we break that bad habit, and what's a new good habit to do when that word, working harder, and that action that we do is the habit that we perhaps don't even catch quite as often as we say it?
Yeah, you can just look at how you feel. How do you feel when you do something? If you feel anxious when you're doing something, or if you feel doubt, or if you feel something, that makes your action less effective, and it makes it harder to get things done. Whereas if you are feeling good about something, then it makes it easier to do, and you can get a lot more accomplished in that. And what I like to tell people, my go-to is always gratitude. Whenever you're feeling down, whenever you're feeling anything, just find something to feel grateful for and really feel that gratitude. Gratitude is at the same vibration as abundance. So you want to lift that feeling. And when you do that, you notice things that you may not have noticed before.
Yes, that's beautiful. And when people are actually doing their, I suppose, gratitude habits and developing the habits of gratitude, is there a good way to obviously acknowledge? Is it journaling? Is there I suppose different methods that people can do to be more aware and more grateful in general when they're starting this process? How do people get started with?
Yeah, I like to have my clients do this gratitude process that I learned from Bob Proctor. And you just every morning and every night you write 10 things you're grateful for.
Lovely.
And then once you write those down, then you look at anywhere there's tension with other people. And then you send love to those people that there's tension for. And then after that, when you're in that great gratitude place and you're sending love to other people, you just ask, what can I do today?
Right.
And when you're in that different vibration, when you're in that uplifting feeling, then you are able to see things and do things in an easier, better way.
Yeah. And I just want to point out then, as we were having that conversation, for those that have been listening in and those that are going to be watching later, as Lynn was explaining that, you can, in actual fact, if you tune into it, feel the difference of how that actually shifts when you're very aware of the tips and the advice that you were sharing there. So thank you. You can really, really feel that. And with that, that new vibration, and when people are actually sort of changing their state, and that vibrational state. Obviously, we hear the term being in flow, and obviously that's where serendipity starts to happen and the magic starts to happen as well. What are often the things that show up for people when, as acknowledgements of that they're on that right path? What do they notice themselves from feedback from clients?
Well, I think one thing that you notice is that it just feels better.
Yeah.
You don't have that agitation. You don't. And when you are in that place, your clients, people can say things to you and it's sort of like Teflon, it just flows off of you. Whereas if you're in that agitated state, somebody could say something to you that's pretty minor and it just makes the agitation worse.
Yeah, great
So
word.
by being in that happy, I know it's weird to say the happy place, but by being in that place where you're seeing things in a good way,
Yeah.
things don't bother you as much. And it's when those things, you let things bother you, that it also keeps you from taking those steps that you need to.
Yeah, and it almost you almost take those steps backwards, don't you? When you get in that agitated state, you sort of tend to be more reactive, and the wrong sort of snowball effect tends to occur, doesn't it? Whereas when and we've all experienced both scenarios, when you are in flow and the serendipity happens and the magic happens, as you explained before, it's a different thing, but it's still the snowball effect or the accumulation effect. And it's, as we've heard before, it's how we are actually reacting to that. So you've also talked about your methodology as it relates to vision, habits, and action. And I know that the community love, the habit side of things. So can you walk us through your version of what vision really means, and then we'll go on to habits and actions as well, just to give people a context around that.
Yeah, your vision is really what you want to create. It could be your vision for your business, your vision for your life, a combination of it. And the most important question to always ask yourself is, what would I love? Not what does the economy say? What does my education say? Not what does my friends say? When you say, what do I love? You stay in that state of curiosity and different things come to you. And if you can dream it, you can achieve it. I know that's a cliche, but it's true. And when you're in that state of what would I love, that's when you really get ideas on how to really become who you've come here to be, so to speak.
Yeah. I think that's a beautiful question, because the one that you often hear and get asked is, what is it? What do you want? And if you say that to somebody that's in, that little bit more of an agitated state, you'll get, I don't know. I remember asking that with my son when we've done some work together around what he was wanting to do next. When you're in an agitated state, that's almost a question that just creates even more agitation. So that shift in question was very dynamic and very, very powerful. And I suppose too, with that question, curiosity becomes a very powerful energy in itself. Would that be right? Because I would imagine that sort of plays out with the. Yeah, can you explain a little bit more how curiosity works? I reckon that would be.
Yeah, so when you're curious, you're open to things that you wouldn't necessarily think about. When you're in that state of what would I love, you may look at something that you've looked at for days and days and days. And by being in that different feeling tone, in that different vibration, you see new things about it. And you're able to take those new ways of seeing things and turn them into even better things.
Yes. Yeah. And that's that's that shift in awareness. That's where the magic happens. It's an example of that from my perspective is when we watch a really great movie, which we've watched multiple times before, and we go, I don't remember that being there. I know it's a slightly different scenario, but it's how that magic happens when you see something that's been staring you in the face for such a long time, and you see it differently. And Peter's just shared with us, whether good feelings trigger good thoughts or vice versa. But building on that, what we're talking about here is obviously building on those positive feelings to then change the actions and the feelings and then the actions around that as well. So the one after we've looked at, what is it that you want, the visions, what are the habits that we need to be aware of or start to develop to then be able to take the types of actions that we want?
Yeah, so it's just a matter of noticing your habits at that point, and know that as soon as you go to try something new, as I mentioned before, your subconscious is going to kick in. So it's a matter of changing those thought habits. It's specifically thought habits to support your vision of what you would love.
Yeah.
And then the next step, the actions. Once you have your vision, you kind of go back and forth between the habits and the action. You take an action, and it either is taking you in that direction or not. So then you have to go back to the habits and see what thoughts have to be changed. And then you take an action, and it either supports it or you go back and change it again. So once you have your vision, you're going back and forth between the habits and the action. And that's how you really create your vision, is just to stay in that vision. And a lot of people say fake it until you make it. I like to say be it until you see it, because faking it until you make it still keeps it in the future, and it still keeps it, to me, a little on the negative side. Yeah. So just step into being that person in your vision, and from there, notice your habits and take action in support of being that person.
And that's such a beautiful way that you've explained it. That's actually how we can have those incremental steps. You've actually given us the path for those incremental steps to move forward, and not that great big chasm leap that we all think success needs to be or needs to look like. But we're actually crafting and choreographing our the thing that we want, that we love, and the thing that we want to create for ourselves, or the outcomes, etc. as well. So from the vision and those six, the dance between vision and habits, etc. What are we then doing with the action? Because I dare say it's all going to circle back round again.
Yeah. So then when you take the action is like the ground wire to electricity. Nothing happens without it. You can have your vision, you can have, your thought, looking at your thoughts, changing your thoughts, but you can't try to change your thoughts and then binge watch Netflix and expect anything to change. You have to take that step, and actually taking that step reinforces your thought, your new thought. So by changing your thoughts and then taking action to reinforce it in that direction, it makes the new thought more solid, and that's where you change that neuroplasticity. You change the brain itself.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. There's one question that keeps popping up, and I'm just going to pop it in example that I'd love to explore a little bit more as it relates to action, because this is something that I've experienced at different times, and I see different clients and friends experience, where we're after a certain amount of success. We're trying to think differently. We're creating good habits, but then we get stuck because we almost don't have the confidence in ourselves to actually do that action, because doubt's crept in. It's just snuck its little head in, and it's just stopped. We're just about to, but we just sort of have that little pull back, we're sort of tottering on the edge. Are we going to or not? So what do we need to be aware of when we're all ready, we've sort of got gung-ho, we've got excited, we've got curiosity, and then we get that little bigger dose of doubt and we just sort of pause and not act. How do we push through that a little bit?
Actually, that doubt at that point is a good sign, because
right.
that is your subconscious saying, wait a minute, you're doing something new here. So when you feel that, that's the time to take the action, because that's your subconscious trying to keep you safe. So I always tell my clients, if you start taking action and you hear that little voice of doubt, that's a good sign. That means you're on the right track.
Nice.
So that means that that action is something that is going to take you in that direction. Otherwise, if you weren't changing, if you didn't have any new thoughts, habits, weren't doing anything, your subconscious would be fat, dumb, and happy. You wouldn't hear a word from it.
Yes.
It'd be silent. Once you start hearing that voice, it's a good sign. It means you're doing something new, and it's nervous because it doesn't know what's going to happen next. And it would prefer you not do it to stay. It would rather have you be miserable than change.
Yeah. So
we would rather have you. Exactly. So when you feel those doubts, when you're going through the process, it's a good sign. And that is a sign to take the action. Yeah. And then once you take that action, taking the action actually builds your confidence. You take that step, and then you create a new step. And as you take those steps, you are training your brain to say, yeah, I can do this.
Yes.
Nothing bad is happening right now.
So it's actually supporting that, at the key thing there, nothing bad is happening. I can do this. And that's where you have the ability to build on those incremental steps, because you're almost proving that it's safe, that you can do it. And as a result, that's building the confidence and the courage, I would imagine, as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
When somebody's got, I'm going to use the word unraveled. That's one of my mum's words again. She's around today, so thank you. When someone's been on their success journey, and they've been having some great results, and something happens and they get unraveled, it's tricky at times when we're in that unraveled state to sort of catch ourselves. And that's obviously where it becomes very important to go back to, as you said, the gratitude, which it's changing that vibration, and that simple technique of just, okay, I'm unraveled, I'm grumpy, I'm this, I'm that, I'm whatever, let me write down 10 things that I'm actually really grateful for, to do that quick shift. And that's almost changing something chemically in the brain that just helps to sort of snap us out of it. Would that be right?
Yeah. And also what you can do is just go back to your vision and step into being your vision and say, if this is who I am, what would I do right now? Yeah. And that will also snap you out of that rattle that you're in. It's just step back into your vision. I actually was, a few years ago, I was traveling a lot. And an event came up, and it's like, I've been gone a lot. I don't know if I really want to go. And I looked at my vision. Travel was in my vision. Yeah. And it's like, if this is who I am, what would I be doing? And I knew in a second, and I went to that event.
Yeah. I think what I've had a penny drop moment as we were going through the conversation. There's a difference between creating your vision of what you're being. So that the term that comes up for me is being the creatrix of your vision, of your life, versus the vision being a thing. Because when you know what you're being, there's a different energy, there's a different resonance, and a tapping into that, versus when you've got when you think your vision is the house, the car, and all those sorts of things, versus the person that has all those things. There's a different alignment with what happens with the steps that you take to be able to achieve that. So it's tapping into that being, and you talked about be it, to be able to see it, which is beautiful too. Thank you. Did you want to add any more to the conversation that we've had there? And I'm just going to change tactics very slightly.
No, I think it's just going through the process and noticing your thoughts or looking at your results and just finding a way. And the more you do it, and this is the best part of it, the more you do it, the easier it is. So
Yes.
once you change those thoughts, you start taking different action, it actually becomes even easier. And that's why I say you can create better results with less efforts once
Yeah.
you're in that place of being able to do that process.
Yeah, yeah, very much so, the slipstream. And something else I wanted to just share with the audience, because you do have a special offer for the audience today, which I just wanted you to share and explain. You work with another strategy which you call the AIR method. Could you just walk us through that, and that'll give people the context as it relates to the offer of a free downloadable resource that you've got there as well?
Yeah, that's actually a process that I teach my clients
Mm,
to change those thoughts.
yeah.
So AIR is AIRR, and it allows you to breathe new life into your business or your life. So the A is just awareness,
Yeah.
just what we've been talking about. Be aware. Is this thought taking me where I want to go? And the next is I for interrupt. You want to say, give it a strong, powerful interrupt, like up until now, or I used to.
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of disempowers that negative thought.
Sure.
Then you release that thought, you let it go. You might want to visualize it floating off into the air. And then once you release it, you replace it with what you want. So you release it, you create a void, and the universe abhors a void. So you want to fill it with what you want. So it might be the replacement thought might be, up until now, I was overwhelmed with all I had to do. And now I'm taking the action I need to every day to create my success. And by saying up until now, or I used to, it's tricking the conscious mind into saying yes.
Mm,
Because remember, the conscious mind says yes or no, and what it decides what goes into your subconscious. So it says, yeah, that's true. Up until now, that's true. And
yeah.
then that replacement thought can go into your subconscious so that it creates all of those new habits.
Yeah, and I love that we're, I'm going to say, tricking, we refer to it as tricking the monkey mind by giving it the yes answer versus the no, the no, the no, the no. We sort of have that. So that's brilliant. And people can have a session with you as it relates to working with you with that
Yeah.
method.
After you sign up for that, it will take you to my calendar. If you're interested in having a session with me, we can look at where you are, where you want to be, and the next most important step to get you there.
Yeah, beautiful. So I'd love you to also now give people an idea of the type of work that you do. We've talked that you talked about the changing doubt and the strategies and the success methods and habits for doing that. Obviously, this is something that you're incredibly passionate about because you love the intricacies of people and the way in which they work, and obviously creating success. And you've had a lot of success yourself and others as well. What's the favourite thing that you like to do, and the way in which you like to work with your clients when they come to you?
I actually like to work in groups
Mm,
because there seems to be create a synergy in groups, and
yeah.
sometimes you're thinking, I have no idea what question to ask, but I know something is there, and then another person in the group asks it. So it's this synergy that gets created, and the connections between the people in the group. I
Mm,
love all of that connection, and I love watching them grow and grow together
yeah.
and support each other.
Yeah, that's one of my favourite things is the groups and the mastermind and the shared tacit knowledge and the, oh my God, we've had this success and I tried that and this worked, and that, as you said, people grow with each other, but they grow because of what other people's growth has it facilitates it across the room almost, doesn't it, though, from that synergetic perspective.
Yeah, and it does. I like that you mentioned the mastermind
Mm,
because it does create a mastermind. I did a workshop today where we did a mastermind, and Napoleon Hill talks about
yeah.
that, where whenever you have a couple people together, there's a third kind of person there that connects to the infinite and allows those ideas to come that the people that, even when I say them or somebody else says them, they don't really know where they came from. It's just a thought comes to them, so they say it.
Yeah, and it just with the different ones that I've been involved in, you sort of sit there and you have these really deep, great conversations, and everyone's just going, "Oh my God, it was so simple, but it was absolutely gold and so pivotal." The thing that I love about that sharing knowledge and working with groups in that perspective, and I can see this would occur a lot for yourself, is that there's so much simplicity, but that simplicity is so incredibly powerful, and it just sort of almost kickstarts, and it allows perhaps some of those bigger jumps because they've been able to, shift something a bit bigger and those sorts of things. So with your groups, do you often work with smaller groups from that perspective around from a business perspective? You have business leaders come together from that. So
I work, business leaders, entrepreneurs, all can get together and work together. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So that's again,
I
there's
like
that
working
sharing knowledge.
with entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, or people that only have a couple of employees, or maybe even just some virtual employees or stuff like that, because those are the people that really need that support.
Yeah.
Because they don't have it. They don't have somebody in the office to bounce ideas off of and to come up with better ideas. So I love working with them to provide that for them.
That forum. Yeah, I'm glad you really touched on that, because I think that is there's that band where we all sit. Many of us act as soloists, even though we might have offshore staff and all those sorts of things. And having that group and that camaraderie of being able to share regularly and bounce ideas off, and that mastermind, and I've tried this and this really worked, or how would you deal with that? That shared tacit knowledge becomes incredibly powerful. And then if you're overlaying the success principles and the growth habits and those sorts of things through there, it becomes incredibly powerful. Very much so. I'd love to ask you, what is I know you've mentioned a couple of favourite quotes and sayings. I've pulled one off your website that I really love, but I'm going to ask you, what's your most favourite quote or saying?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I have a favorite one. The one that just came to me, though, was by Audrey Hepburn, and it's excuse me, nothing is impossible. The word itself says I'm possible.
Oh, beautiful. Yes, thank you. Yeah. I'll get you to repeat that one. That one needs to sink in again.
Yeah, so nothing is impossible. The words itself says I'm possible. Impossible is I'm possible.
Yeah, beautiful. And the one that I loved on your website was, if you stumble, make it part of your dance. That was one of my favorite ones, because I think, again, part of that, that when that doubt creeps in, that, when we've tripped ourselves up or we've stumbled, we sort of sit there for too long beating ourselves up. Whereas if we actually go, oh, I tripped, let's just make it part of the dance, it sort of gives you the visual and the feelings, I suppose, that you can just continue on with all those steps forward, etc. as well. So what we've gone through, and we've talked about shifting your habits. We've talked about the action steps that you can do through the awareness, through having your vision, the habits, and the actions. We've also talked about gratitude at the very beginning. I'm going to ask you if you can circle back to that gratitude as we sort of come to the end, because I think that would be a beautiful way to begin and then end as it relates to how we go about crafting and choreographing our being of success.
Yeah, so gratitude is it's just a habit of seeing the best in everything and everyone. And I think you had mentioned something about being a reactor. The difference, if you look at the letters in reactor and creator, they all have the same letters, but it's where you put the C, the way you see it. A reactor, the C is in the middle. If you're a creator, you see it. The C is in the beginning. So by having that gratitude, you're able to see it so that you turn from a reactor into a creator, and you create the life and the business that you love.
Beautifully said. Thank you, Lynn. That was, yeah, beautiful. Thank you very, very much for sharing with us today. All of your wisdom that you have. So my invitation to the audience would be, if you're feeling stuck, or if you're finding that you're getting little bits of doubt creeping in and you need somebody to share some ideas with, formulate some strategies for yourself and just really kickstart your business, have the ability to do more with less and create the lifestyle and the income that you're looking for your business, then certainly do reach out to Lynn. A wealth of experience, a wealth of knowledge, and certainly got all the tools and strategies to help you have the success that you're looking for. So Lynn, thank you very, very much for sharing with us today. I really appreciate your insight. I love the way in which we started with gratitude and have finished with gratitude, and that we've got some great resources there for the audience as well. Thank you very, very much. Any final words from you?
Yeah, just thank you. This was fun. I love talking about these concepts, and I love sharing them, and hopefully that people out there will pick up one gold nugget, so to speak, and start doing things differently and being differently and creating different success.
Yeah, I think you've just triggered another thing that I'll end on. I remember when we very, very first spoke, I was fascinated with the psychology and the computer science, because I found through the conversation, I think our conversation today has been an incredible demonstration of that. Because of those two, you have the ability to create what feels very complex for lots of people and lots of us at lots of times into very simple ways in which we can see it, so we can actually act and move forward. So that's something that I've always loved about your ability to keep things simple and make it easy for people to achieve what they want to achieve. So thank you very, very much. Again, just for those that are watching it later, you can see in the ticker going across the screen that you can reach out to Lynn and get a resource from on her website. She's on LinkedIn as well, and all of the social media platforms. So please do reach out to Lynn. Again, thank you very, very much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. It's been great. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you. Till next week, everybody, have a great day, and we look forward to seeing you again on another episode of Success Secrets Exposed. Take care.